What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a very different type of review video and just some explaining on the little critters that we're going to talk about today. Today's review is going to be on, you guessed it, a hamster cage, mouse cage, gerbil cage, whatever little critter that you would like to house in here, don't. Anyway, we'll talk about pros and cons of this. This particular cage is the Habit Trail Crystal Cage. Now, without these accessories on top, this cage itself goes for $29.99 on Amazon. It's a little expensive, but you know, that's okay. We love our critters and we want to take care of our critters. The reason I'm talking about this particular type of thing today is because I want to shed some light on, if you don't know, or maybe you are thinking about getting a small pet, for example, like a hamster or even a Syrian hamster, there are some serious things we should really talk about today. First off being, if you don't have time to dedicate to a hamster, please don't get one, okay? Yes, they are very boring sometimes, and honestly, kids can get tired of them very quickly. I rescued a hamster a few days ago, and when I went to talk with the mother, I was almost kind of heartbroken. And I know it seems stupid, but it sounded as if she was talking about how this poor little creature was disposable. She literally handed me the cage and went, "Here you go." I paid 20 bucks for him. He came with all these little accessories and bedding and all kinds of other stuff like that. But the mother handed him to me and goes, "Yeah, we just got bored of him. My son just lost interest and we just don't want him anymore." Okay, now if somebody said that about a dog or a cat, they'd go overboard, which kind of infuriates me to a sense. Hamsters are no more disposable of than a cat, a dog, a bird, a ferret, fish, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter. So it really broke my heart that people think of these as disposable pets, because minimum 2-year commitment, max at 4 if we're talking about Syrian hamsters. So this, it's just. Anyway, so let's talk about a cage like this. Is this a big enough cage for a hamster? No, it's not. Hamsters need minimum 460 square inches of floor space, to be precise, which is the equivalent of a 40-gallon fish tank. No joke. Anyway, the one that I rescued, he is a Chinese dwarf hamster. I think he's a Chinese, and he's all of like yay big. He's so cute. I named him Chico, and this was his home for about 1.5 years. I'm not saying they can't survive in these, but just because they're tiny does not mean that they don't need exercise, minus the exercise wheel, which is debatable. Anyway, so I honestly don't know why I'm making this video, but if you're out there, and because Christmas time is literally like not even 30 days away, like 28 days away at this point, if you're a parent and you're thinking about getting a child a hamster for a Christmas present, know you're going to be doing the bulk of the work. I'm not talking about, oh well, my 10, 12, or even 13-year-old wants to hamster. It more boils down to, are you going to interact with your hamster? Are you going to tame your hamster? Which is meaning you can put them in the palm of your hand, play with them a little bit, and them not bite you or hiss at you. And yes, hamsters do hiss. It takes time, and it takes an insane amount of effort. My hamster's still biting me, and I actually have 2 hamsters. I just adopted a Syrian hamster a few days ago too, but I got her from a pet store. Anyway, if even if you are a stay-at-home parent like me, you're going to be doing the bulk of the cleaning. You're going to be doing the bulk of the interaction. And I don't recommend you getting a hamster for your child if they're going to lose interest in just a couple of months. Because at the bare minimum, between the cage, the water, or no, excuse me, the cage, the food, the bedding that you need, because you see the bottom of this cage? That is not enough bedding for a hamster. It'd be like me telling you to go sleep on a little dinky pillow. That's not comfortable. Hamsters are natural burrowers. They like to burrow. They need at least like minimum 5 inches, maybe even 6, depending on how crazy or psycho your hamster is, like mine. Both of them are a little bit crazy. My dwarf likes to sleep and eat all day versus my Syrian, where she's just psycho, but I'll do that in another video. She's got a big enough wheel too, but I'll do a cage tour on another video. Petco, PetSmart, and all those other places that sell these, I think it's called Critter Trails, maybe. Whatever ones they sell in store are not nowhere near big enough or deep enough, so to speak, because if you even log on to Facebook and you go through a marketplace, you'll see everybody selling these hamster cages with the depth only being maybe 2 to 3 inches, and that is just not enough bedding. Now, that's the con of this. A pro of a cage of this size is a temporary housing, so to speak. Highly, highly, highly recommend you get a fish tank for your hamster, and here is why. Hamsters get bored very easily. Most hamsters do, which means if you see a hamster bar chewing, they're not trying to file their teeth, because hamsters' teeth constantly grow. That's why they always need to chew on something. If you see your hamster biting on a cage, it's not because it's filing its teeth down. It's bored, it's irritated, and it's stressed. If you see a hamster monkey barring, which means they're hanging from the tops of the cage, they're not being cute. They're bored and they're stressed, which means their enclosure is too small. And if you have a multi-level cage, which you shouldn't have a multi-level cage like this, even though they sell them, because let's face it, they're marketed to children, and parents think, oh, it's so cute. It's not cute. It's not cute. I'm not saying the cages are not cute. The design of them is far beyond what a hamster truly needs. A Syrian hamster is like 6 times the space that is needed in this. And a 40-gallon tank is really what is required for a Syrian to keep them happy, even though they are truly hard to please. For an exercise wheel, you need, I believe it's a 7-inch or an 8-inch at the bare minimum. Do not get the mesh runners, because hamsters' feet are itty bitty baby toes, and if their fingers or paws get caught in that, it's going to cause what's known as bumblefoot. It can literally rip their limbs off and they bleed. That hurts. Would it not hurt if you and I ripped a finger off? I mean, it's kind of equivalent. Get a silent runner, which are these plastic ones, which is right in here. Let me open this up so you can see it. Okay? This is called a silent runner. They sell them all the way up to 12 inches. Syrians need a minimum of, I believe it's 9 inches and a max at 12, because my Syrian is going to get as big as my hand. There's 2 different sizes of Syrians, which again, I'll do in another video. So parents, please, or children even watching this, if you are not committed to at least 2 years of, you have to be patient with your hamster, because they're going to bite you for a while. It doesn't matter if they're a rescue or a baby. My Syrian is only a baby, and she's not hissing at me anymore, and she's not biting me as bad, and she doesn't squeak like a dog's toy when I go and try and hand her food or pet her. So we're going forward in the right direction with her. And I keep interactions with her all throughout the day. Anytime I see her in the cage, I go up to the cage because hamsters have sucky vision, and you got to get like this close to their face, like down in the cage, so, or fish tank, so they can see you. Now there are cages like this that are sold on Amazon, and I think they're like $75, $80. And don't get the Tiny Tails cage. Tiny Tails, that's what it's called. Don't get the Tiny Tails cages at Petco or PetSmart. If you want a cheap substitute, get a bin cage. Bin cages cost 20 bucks. You're gonna have to cut the hole out for the mesh lining. Tons of people sell used fish tanks on Facebook Marketplace or any other type of thing. Anyway, so back to what I was saying. 3 things if you're going to get a hamster. 1, are you truly committed to at least 2 to 4 years of your life with this hamster? That's their lifespan. I've never really seen any go past 4 years, but 2 years at the bare minimum if they're in relatively good health. Number 2, are you going to get bored of your hamster? If you think, or even the thought crosses your mind where you might get bored with your hamster, don't get a hamster. And 3, do you have the time and patience to get to tame and know your hamster? And what I mean by that is, are you willing to take the time needed that has to be at their pace in being careful enough and being soft enough with them to be able to hold them? And this can take days, weeks, and even months at a time. If you're not committed to that, don't get a hamster. Yeah, they're easy to rehome, but in the end, they're not disposable. And if you really can't do it, I beg you, please don't get a hamster. They're a lot of fun to watch, especially in fish tanks, because you get to see their burrows and their tunnels. They're fun to watch. I love to watch my hamsters. My Syrian is in my kitchen on this little countertop space, just big enough for the 40-gallon. And I love the way she perks up and sits on her back legs. And I love to watch her stuff her pouches on the sides of her mouth. I love to watch her eat because her dish sits on top of this wooden home for her. And she perks up like a deer in the headlights, like, oh yeah. And she'll, what you doing? She'll watch you real close, or and you'll see these nuts hanging out of her mouth, because hamsters are omnivores and they can eat a variety of different foods, which again, a lot of people don't know. Bedding is also very expensive, so I encourage you, if you do get a hamster, buy in bulk. Are hamsters great first-time pets? Yes and no. I would say no for children 7 and under, simply because if you leave a cage like this in their room, guess what? Oopsie. And guess what the hamster can do? And if the child forgets to shut the door, hamster go bye-bye. So if you're a child watching this, make sure that you really want to get a hamster, and mommy and daddy are probably going to be doing the bulk of the work, but help mommy and daddy out, or whoever your guardian is. If you're a parent thinking about getting a hamster, have your child help out. My daughter loves her Syrian hamster. Her name is Oreo. She's black and white, and she's just so fun to watch. Chico, on the other hand, he is just lazy. He just likes to sleep and eat, which I'll do more videos on in the future about them. These cages, the pros are, these cages are great if you are traveling, or even just a temporary home for them for a few days until you find a fish tank that you like, that is big enough. Petco actually has a thing going on right now, and sometimes PetSmart does it, but it's more Petco. And even not chain stores, but locally owned animal supply stores, pet supply stores, have $1 per gallon sale. So I got a 40-gallon tank for $42 with taxes added on. Yeah, just please don't buy a hamster if you're the things I just mentioned. But hamsters can be loving pets. Chico fits in the palm of my hand, and luckily he doesn't really bite me anymore because I'll do another video on that. But I hope you found this video somewhat informative and maybe even made you think a little bit before you went out and purchased a hamster or any type of small rodent. My husband was like, why is there a rat in the house? And I was like, isn't he cute? This was before my daughter opened her mouth and we got the Syrian hamster, to which case he was going to find out about it tomorrow anyway. And she goes, we got a, and I'm like, really? You had to open your big mouth? She goes, yeah. He goes, what did you get? I was like, we got another hamster. He goes, you got another rat? I'm like, it's not a rat, it's a rodent. So, yeah, that's all I wanted to say about this video. And if you're gonna get a hamster, great. If you want to know more about hamsters, there is another girl on YouTube. Her name is Victoria Rachel. I believe that's how I'm saying it right. And her whole channel is dedicated to hamsters and bunny rabbits. So yeah, I just really want parents to think about this because I love hamsters. I love to watch our hamsters. You have to keep your hamsters separated because hamsters are very solitary animals. So I hope this video has been a little bit informative, although I know it's not a makeup video, but it's just another review video on what a cage is good for and what it's not good for. So let me know what you guys want to see next, and I'll see you in another video. Bye!